Hi my friends, and welcome to another exciting one. Today we are going to take a look at some cool extensions, primitive extensions that will help us extend the primitive functionality that we have inside Blender. So without much talk, let's jump into it and let me show you what I mean. So first we have to go to our browser and then let's go to extensions.blender.org. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. So once you come here, you'll be able to find some cool extensions and add-ons straight inside of Blender, which is completely free for you to try. So I will recommend you come here and then you experiment, you search, and then you'll be able to find some cool tools that will help speed up your workflow and make Blender even more powerful. And then they are all free as well. So once I go to add-ons here, you'll be able to see all these cool add-ons that we can try on. If you come to filter, you'll be able to filter based on what you're looking for. So let's say you are looking for something geometry node, you can just select geometry nodes and then it will filter all these add-on based on geometry nodes. Let's say you are looking for something around modeling, but you don't know what you are looking for in specific, you can just hit on modeling and then it's going to filter everything based on that. So I'll just leave it to all. Today what we are going to check is some two cool add-ons which are primitive, that will add more functionality to our primitive shapes that we have inside Blender. So let me just quickly search primitive here and then hit on enter. And then we have these two add-ons here. So these are the add-ons that we are going to check. So first let's click on this, which is the modern primitive, to learn more about the add-on. So you can see once we click on it, we have some cool information about the add-ons and the creator and everything here. So you'll be able to learn what this add-on does here, right? So I'll go back and then I'll click on the other one as well. And then once you click on it, you'll be able to learn what add-on does, how to use it, and all that cool stuff, right? So to get this add-on, there are two ways of doing it. We can click on get this add-on to download it, or we can jump right into Blender to install the add-on straight from Blender, which is what we are going to do. So let's quickly jump into Blender, general, and then we have our general default scene. I'll just select everything and delete it from my scene, right? So to install the add-on, you have to go to edit, preference, and then we come to our system. First we have to come to our system, make sure we check this allow network online access. So let's check it on so that Blender will be able to access our online library. So next let's go to get extensions, go to repositories, and then make sure we check this so that Blender extensions.blender.org is added. So Blender will be able to browse through that website that we showed. And then lastly, we have to search for our add-on here. So let's search for primitive. And then we have the two. So we have modern primitive and then the ND primitive. So first let's install the modern primitive. I'll just hit on install. Make sure you have your internet working. So I hit on install and then it's going to go online to grab this file for us. So once it's installed, we can go to add-ons and then we can search for it here, modern primitive, and then we can check it to allow it. Make sure it's checked, which means it's working, right? So once we have our add-on installed, let's take a look at it and let's see what it does for us. So I'll come back to my Blender and then let's see why we need these add-ons. So first let's do Shift A and then add in our regular cylinder like this, right? So first let me just make sure I have my wireframe turned on so that we'll be able to see what we are doing. So as usual in Blender, once we add something like this, we always have to come and toggle down here and then we can change the properties of this file. Let's say we can change the radius, we can change the depth, and then we can change what we want something to fill or nothing to fill it, right? Once we are done with this, maybe we want to move this to the side a little bit, and then maybe we want to create a different object cone, and then maybe we can play with this too as well, right? But then later on we want to make some changes to this. Maybe we want to add in some more resolutions or add in some more cuts. There's no way for us to do that unless we create a new cylinder altogether, right? Or let's say we want to make edits to this, we can always we're hitting on F9, it can come here and we can make our edit. But once we move this, once we hit on F9 again, is going to bring this move thing, and then there's no way for us to access these functions and everything to work with. So that's why we need these plugins we just installed. So let me hit on X to delete. Now let's do Shift A once again, bonding primitive, which is the add-on we installed, and then we can have all these new primitives here, right? So let's go modern primitives, and then let's select cylinder, right? So once we select our cylinder, you see this is what we have. It's added some gizmos here and there, and it's pretty intuitive. Let's see what it does for us. So we can select this, and then once we start scrolling, it starts adding in more vertices for us. We can go to 30, and it's always written here so that we can know what we're doing. We can select this, scroll, and then it adds in some cuts in the middle, some segments cut in the middle like this, and then we can have this, and then it adds some cuts at the top and then at bottom like this for us. And then we can select this, drag to increase, drag to increase as well. I can move this to the side. Let's add in a new object, modern primitive. Let's say we add in a tube. We can do the same thing here. Drag, decrease or increase our size, and then we can always come back to this and then make our edits as we see fit. Remember, this wasn't possible with just the vanilla Blender primitive, right? We can always make our edits as we see fit. Yeah, so that's the power of modern primitive. It has a lot of cool primitives you can play with as you see fit. We can go with a cube. Even our cube has, our default cube has been given more functionality. As you can see, you can add in some segment on the side, on this side, and then on this side as well. You can see, and it's always editable as we see fit, right? So let's say once we have our primitive shape and then we want to continue making our edit, the usual way we usually do this is, let's say we have this active. The usual way is to hit on tab to jump into edit mode, but with this, once we hit on tab, you can see there's no way for us to be able to access our faces, our points, and then our edges, right? So with this, if you want to make your edit your final edit, you always have to go to your modifiers, and then all these things, all these cool effects that we have are added as a modifier, right? So we just have to go to our modifier and then hit on apply to apply our modifier. Now we can hit on tab, and then we can make our individual edit as we see fit, right? So that's for the modern primitive. Let me select everything X and delete, and let's quickly check on the other one. It works in the similar way. I think they are almost similar. There are a bit of differences, so just play with them, find the one which you like best, and then stick with it. So let me search primitive. I want check. Let's go to our extensions, and then let's install the ND primitive once again. So once it's installed, we go to add-on, and then let's uncheck our modern primitive, and let's leave the ND primitive, right? So with the ND primitive installed, we can do Shift A, mesh, and then we have our ND primitives like this, right? So it also has the same, almost the same functionalities. We can go to cylinder, and then we can select this, drag to increase or decrease, select this, drag to increase or decrease. You can always come to your modifiers tab, and then we have all these properties we can always play with. Since it's a modifier, you can always come back to it and then play with it, right? Increase or decrease, add in some radius and all that cool stuff, right? So with the ND primitive, if once you install it, primitive, go to your add-ons, you can toggle this, and then we have some settings here, right? So yours maybe probably it will come like this with this pie checked, right? So if you do Shift A, you get a pie menu like this, and then you can go to more to add in all these cool primitive shapes you have. You have capsule, you can play with it, the segments, increase the segment, decrease this, always playing with it like this, right? But if you don't want this pie menu, then you have to go to your preferences, add-on, the ND primitive, you just toggle this, and then you can come here and then uncheck this primitive pi, and then now you have the your, let me delete this. You have your regular Shift A ND primitive, and then you can always add in your primitive as you see fit, right? All of this cool stuff, right? So with this one, once we hit on tab to edit, we will be able to edit. Bear it in mind, we will be able to edit. So let's say we have added some edits here as we see fit, right? I just extruded some faces, right? Now if we go back and then want to apply this primitive shape, once we hit on apply here, you can see it's changes everything, and then it returns it back to the old form. So it's something you have to keep in mind, right? So I'll just do Control Z to go back. So once you do your edits, it's usually a good practice to apply the, so let me go back. It's usually a good practice to apply, so jump out of edit mode, apply your modifier before you start editing. But let's say in case you forget, let's just hit on G. Let's say in case you forget you've done your edits, you can always delete this modifier, and then this will just, your edit will remain in place. But make sure you don't apply your modifier. If you apply the modifier, it's going to revert to the old form, right? So that's it for today. Very simple. I hope you learned something today. I would advise you always regularly check the extension, this website here, blenderextension.org. There are a lot of cool add-ons, free cool add-ons that you can always install inside your Blender to increase your Blender functionalities. This add-on like this is very cool. Probably next week we are going to check it out. And the destructive modeling is a very cool add-on. We are going to check it out. Yeah, so thank you very much for sticking with me till this time. It's my friend. Not going to take much of your time. Please consider subscribing if you haven't. Peace out.